shape motherfucker, the math is the math.
Kachoya! Let's go, Kachoya! Kachoya! Previously on Kimba TV. If you want a short, 88.5, we've had that level since last Tuesday, I believe. So probably waiting for 88.5 is a little bit better. If you want a long, VWAP past the hole, you can't lose value area high. Obviously, you can't go back into the gap. You've overcommitted as bulls. So if you're going to long, if you're bullish, then you probably wouldn't long anything lower than value area low. Burke says, any 15-second TA? Well, you know that I'm in a short from yesterday.
Bitcoin is going to zero.
So same entry as yesterday. Looking for like 80, basically the gap. This is what I would say. Do you remember yesterday when we said that we might long the value area low? So I think if you have a long from here, I think that's totally fine. I'm looking for a little bit lower, like the ETH gap, and that might be a long right there. So I'm just trying to be patient. Nothing's really changed from yesterday. It looks like it opened with a bearish retest of value area low. So, yeah, looking to long like 84, if you remember. Like this zone right here. And if that shit don't bounce. Uh-oh, hot dog. Godragi says, I got stopped out on this scam pump. Yeah, that's okay. That's pretty normal. Just remember that every trade kind of resets at the end. Were you watching the stream yesterday? Do you remember when I put the stop loss where I put it?
What the hell is even that?
Yeah, Godragi. Godragi. Yeah, it's one of those things where Biffum says 88345. Yeah. Yeah. It's just one of those. Did you see my KCEX? Yeah, it's just, bro, I spent all day yesterday. Biffum, I don't know if you were here, but I got filled on that short right when the day started. And you can hear me talking about, hey, you know that I'm in a short right now, right? All day.
shape motherfucker,
I had to
the
sit
math is
on
the
that
math.
thing. So, yeah, but I was even telling Cage when we were playing Warzone that instead of trying to take it right here, I should have just waited for the retest. I should have just taken it here instead of taking it so early, you know? Do you have problems for filling that size? What do you mean? It's only like 13, 15. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm doing like 10 to 15 on like 6, 7, 8 different accounts instead of doing like 80 or 100 on one. 15 Bitcoin, no. When I mean, even with like 50, 100, 150, I don't have any problems. Yeah, but when you shave, you need to shave, especially like KCEX. You can't have one stop loss. You need to have like 5. Mr. Logo says I was on that short, but I closed 70% already. Nice. Do you? Yeah, but Mr. Logo, you see how I'm just executing stuff that I planned out days and weeks ahead of time? Think about how long ago I said I was looking to short that. So I'm just doing me, you know? Just sticking to the plan. Rafsy says, I've already realized 100% of that short. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm just doing me. You know, you stick to your plan, I'm sticking to mine. But no one can ever tell me that I don't stick to my plan that I planned out weeks ago. You feel me, Rafs? I'm just doing me, you know? But if anything, this is I mean, it's been the same for the 3 years, but if I plan for it, I'm going to take it and I'm going to do it exactly how I planned. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. It was kind of bizarre because people couldn't understand why I was shorting yesterday. And I spent like a week talking about it and prepping for it. So, I mean, even right now, I'm going to just execute it the way that I planned for it last week, you know?
You know, one thing
I aim
my
one
trainer,
says
he told
this
me,
short
he
round
said,
tripped me on
what did he
4
say?
ways on break
He
even.
just told us to be
Yeah,
prepared.
so I aim one. I think a lot of people will get to this point where you're going to realize that you're getting round tripped and stopped out at break even and getting left behind at the train station. First off, it's a lot better than trying to long up here and then being like, fuck, I was wrong. At least if you're trying to short, you have the general direction, you know? And if you get round tripped or you get stopped out before it goes, then so be it. You know, you only have a little bit of work to do than the guy that was trying to long up there, right? But something that you'll notice, aim one, is you either believe in the short or you don't. The more conviction that you have, it's a lot easier to keep trying to take it or, like me, not get stopped out. But if you don't really know what you're doing and if you're scared about your capital going away, you're probably going to put your stop loss and break even really aggressively. Just remember that in this game, you're never going to get away from the risk-reward ratio. The more risk you take, the more reward you have. The less risk you take, the less reward you have. Yeah. So, but, I mean, think about how early I went into the short. So I'm just executing my plan. Yeah, but if you TP'd the whole thing, if you got round tripped on it, it's all good.
You know, one thing my trainer, he told me, he said, what did he say?
Sounds good?
He just told us to be prepared.
But yeah, all day yesterday, I sat here trying to not get stopped out. So, yeah, let's see what happens, man. But I would like to maybe think about my next long, maybe around the single print, maybe around the gap, if we can get it. So that's your 15-second alpha TA. A lot of it you're going to notice is just a continuation off of shit that we've planned for before, you know? So Rafsy says, I'm looking for a long now. For sure, and let's not get it twisted. Even though I'm taking shorts, I'm looking for longs too. I've been looking for longs. Yeah, so now my next long would be around like that gap. Yeah, and then you got a bunch of stuff like, if you remember yesterday, we talked about, you know, that's your open from yesterday, and that's your gap. Oops. So the longer time that you spend in it, if you're bullish right now and you have a long from this low, the best thing that can happen to you is that you turn around right now. You don't spend time in the gap. If you're bullish or you have a long from last night or yesterday or whatever, you probably don't want to start spending value and time in the gap. So if you're hella bullish, RAFZ, then your best bet would be a dip the tip and go. You know? But if you start spending time here and you get 1-2 candle closes, then you probably don't want to long until you at least hit this single print. I wouldn't long here. 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 I'd probably wait for that. Alrighty, RAFC. So you got a lot of stuff kind of right in front of your face. And these are all just like basic concepts of gap play. Not anything to do with me. So makes sense. So if you're hella bullish and you're really looking for a long, then this is like kind of your best place or your first attempt. And then if this doesn't work and if it spends the time in the gap, then you probably want to wait until single print. So yeah, even though I might be in a short, don't get it twisted. I'm definitely looking for longs just like you too, brother. I might just be wanting lower than you, you know? I am one says, was this move dragged out because of a lot of shorts? I don't know. It's probably just S&P confluence. S&P dumps, Bitcoin's going to dump. Do I need to load EXO here? Oh, fuck. Who is this? I can try a 618. Let's go, 618. MEXC says, what are your next levels to short if your 88.5 short gets swept? And more importantly, it's not about the 91.5. Do you know what the 91.5 is? It's a very important range value area high. So there's a couple things. One is, I would have wanted you to know 12 hours ago that level. But two, how I'm identifying levels that I want to short or long. You'll never have to ask me where I'm thinking about longing or shorting if you know how I'm identifying the levels that I want to short or long. All right, MEXC. So 91.5, and it's because it's value area high. Sounds good? Yeah, but it's all there. We talked about it yesterday, and we started talking about 91.5 last week. Alrighty, but it's a fixed range value area high. So, and then for higher time frame, it might be value area low. So make sure that you have it. So for this range on Coinbase, it's a little bit higher. But for other levels, it's, right around here. Like right around there. Like it's around 9, it's right below 92. It's around the 91.5. Okay? And that's basically where, you got to figure out like where you would say, hey man, if we get above that and turn that bitch into support, then we can rotate to the other side. And then not only rotate to the other side, but have the same kind of deviation to the upside. So where is this line for you? Yeah, but just be careful about like shorting. MEXC. Did you hear what I was telling the other homie? I'm bullish. You know that I'm bullish on Bitcoin, right? So be careful shorting. I think that it's just kind of level to level. So me personally, I don't like longing when there's gaps and imbalances. And so I'm always going to be as conservative as I can. But take it for you know, what it's giving you in front. MEXC says, cool, I was here yesterday, was just goofed. No problem, no problem. Yeah, 91.5. But MEXC, remember, context matters. So if this goes to 84, okay, and it does a really nice bullish reaction at the gap, I'm not shorting 91, 92. Makes sense? Maybe a little shave the TP type of thing. I'm sure that it'll have a little bit of a pullback, but I would be hoping to get to like 130, you know? Kai Tosh says, I get confused about filling the gap. Is it filling the empty space or needs to get to the close of the last previous session candle? Close of the empty space and make sure it's not adjusted. Okay, whenever you want to do a gap fill assessment, you need to make sure that it's not adjusted. If you want to look for swing fails and to see if liquidity did get grabbed, then you can toggle it on off. But for gap fills, it's the closure of the gap. So it's wherever price didn't go to. So like in this case, the bearish gap edge is gone. You now have neutralized the bearish edge that the gap gave us in the morning. So when you're playing the tip, you don't want to fill the whole thing. Stop the music. Javier says, I've been watching you for the past few days now. Nice, nice. It is hard to learn your key indicators to make a trade. It's so easy. I'll break it down for you right now. And remember, Jay Javier, don't just wait for me to explain it to you. You could have gone into the Discord and any of the mods or admins could have helped you. All right? You know how I like to trade and how I make a trade? I like to first identify levels. Okay? You know what kind of levels I like? I have volume-based levels, like fixed range volume profile, okay? VWAP, anchored, major, minor, all right? I like time-based levels, TPO levels, okay? I like to look for imbalances, like single prints, all right? Or bad highs, or bad lows, or weak highs, or weak lows, okay? And last but not least, I like mathematical levels. Golden pocket, 7.5, harmonics, you know, even throw in a little Elliott wave now and then. So those are the three types of levels I like. The ones that confluence and overlap the most, they're the ones that get the most amount of priority. All right. And then there's three types of edge that I look for. There's structural edge. Okay, so there's things like a rounded top where the first candle comes, second one cleans everybody out, the third one is a lower high or a higher low, and then it rounds the top. Okay, there is a swing fail pattern. Okay, there is a failed auction. Okay, there's a 3 drives. Okay, there's a Kimba crown. All right. So there's structural edge. Okay. So if it makes that structure, then that's what I would consider structural edge. Okay. I like to look at data such as open interest. Can you tell, for example, that there's 39 million in underwater shorts open right now? Okay. Like this guy opened 39 million in shorts right around here at 87,100. He is underwater right now. That's not debatable. He hasn't closed. Okay? There's 18 million in longs. He was juicing, but he closed 13 million of it here. So there's not much left. All right? So I like to look at open interest to give me edge. Do you know how to tell when this is looking bearish and this is looking bullish? Okay, so structural edge, open interest, and last but not least, I like to look at divergence. Okay, can you tell me by looking at this if there is any sort of, for example, a bullish divergence? Can you tell that this right here is a bullish div? This is a hidden bull div. It means that resuming the original trend. Do you see why I wanted to get this yesterday? And then I would have been able to get a pixel perfect 7.5 long. Do you understand that that's not that great of a low? So a really easy long is something like this. Clean that, hit value, get the 7.5, have a hidden CVD bull div. Let's get nasty. Do you understand why I was trying to take that long? So that's confluence, mathematical level, volume-based level, TPO, structural edge. Okay? And so that's it. So it's just identifying a level. Okay? I have 3 different kinds of levels. And then when it gets to that level, I'm looking at how it got there and how it's reacting. And based off of structural edge, open interest edge, and divergence edge on multiple oscillators, I'm taking a trade if I have 2 out of 3. And the more edge and confluence that I have, the bigger the position. That's it. So all you need to do is figure out how to do each of those things, and you'll know exactly. There's a reason why 90% of people that have been watching me for longer than a year can pretty much predict exactly what my entry is and what my size is before I even show it. I do the same shit every single time. So for right or wrong, better or for worse. Castillo says, what is your favorite oscillator? CVD, RSI, stochastic? Probably CVD, but do you know why? Because it's the one that's been the most statistically reliable. If I start to see that RSI or MEXC is the best on CME, then I'll switch to that. You know? So whatever is the most reliable, brother. Levi all in. What happening? Jay Lavier says, so wow, seems really logical and love it. Yep. And you know what's even crazier, Jay Lavier? And again, don't take my word for it, but it's really going to be 20%, maybe 25% academic, mathematical, statistical knowledge and experience. But 80%, 75% of this is going to come down to your emotional composure. I have really never seen somebody lose hella money because their TA was just incredibly wrong. But I have seen people lose it all because they can't realize a loss when it's a loss smaller, and they let it run out of control, and they end up getting liquidated because they started to get emotional and they started to hope and they got. But it's okay. But that's why, Burke, and I keep telling people this, you don't need to be staring at the charts all day, you know? I don't know if you were here for it, but somebody was like, would you do this? Would you do that? I said, bro, my stop loss is where my stop loss is. I'm not going to really like fight the market makers over a couple $100 moves, you know? And I've been here being able to work on other work stuff and, you know, get the tutorial stuff and the poker tournament ready. So, you know, people are always like, how do you have a normal job and trade and stream? Bro, the trading takes 15 minutes of TA a day. You know, I don't really scalp. So I'm not really trying to get on some like small bing bong ding dong. It's probably not even worth the time. So for me, for somebody like me, a day like today is a godsend because I don't need to be looking at the charts and I've already got my invalidations. I know I can't lose. I know that if it goes to around 84, I would be looking for a long. I know that if its swing fails, 89,000, I might be looking for a short. And the really easy short, in my opinion, would be closer to like the 91.5 CME. And I know that we like to set week lows or week highs on Mondays and Tuesdays. So with the movement today and the settlement and the daily close today, I can really start to feel like we need to be a little bit more aggressive on longs for rest of the week. You know, it would have been nice to have just something a little bit easier. So value area low, you know, like a penetration through settlement. You know, don't exactly clean all the the complete highness, come back down here, you know, and then have VWAP already coming up and taking along from value area low. That would have been like a really nice, easy thing. Unfortunately, RTH is going to be closed in 26 minutes. So the right thing to do if you want to manage risk is you would have to wait until RTH gap play for tomorrow. You know, so it kind of just depends on what your subconscious bias was. If you're somebody that was really bullish and truly believed that the 76 low was it, and it doesn't need to make an RTH low and an ETH low is good, then you were probably trying to chase and add, you know, all day today and yesterday. So yeah, like it's going to come down to your subconscious. If you're really not that bullish, you're probably going to wait, you know? But everybody has like a chance, so... Is it kind of a bull trap? I don't know, brother. All I know is how to play it level by level. I know what it looks like when it looks like it's turning a level into support. Does it look like value area low is getting turned into support? You know, you tell me. So unless we start to close and spend time above value area low, there's no fucking way I could even consider that being turned into support. It's not. I'm not gonna long the VWAP. You know, I already made up my mind I'm not going to long the VWAP. So for me, it was just a matter of turning value area low into support, however that looked. I mean, at least if it makes a higher high, like it goes to settlement, pierces it, comes back, and it's making a value area low retest, then I know that this structure is the lower low. So if it goes... and then it does that, then I know at least that's probably golden pocket on the higher high. So at least I know that's the invalidation if we're going to chase the long later. I'll probably do chest today, so it won't be like crazy of a workout. So if I need to take a long later on, I bet I could do it from the gym. But until it gets above value area low, it's hard for me to, it's a shame that we couldn't come down lower to tap value area low and get the full 7.5, and instead of it having be a shitty bottom, it was a good tail and it pixel fucked 7.5. That would have been an amazing long, and I wouldn't have to be worrying about this, like, where am I going to take a long bullshit, you know? And then this kind of is a little bit of a lower probability because you're going to clearly see resistance, support. So, you know, that's what it's supposed to do, but you don't want something like that. So it's too bad that we couldn't get a long last night and we couldn't get like a clean. Too bad we couldn't get it this morning. But yeah, I mean, I'm down to long the point of control and value area low as long as it's going to be support. So it's kind of like volume node. Yeah, but I'm ready to take a long if it can turn value area low into support. Yeah, would have been nice if we just got a little bit low. Man, every fucking time, right? Leaves an untapped naked point of control, you know, by like $180. Leaves the 7.5 in the value area low and also a fucked up low, you know, by like $180. It's kind of getting a little annoying. I'm trying to do the right thing and get like a clean low and a sweep and nothing funky left behind, but you know, fuck an untapped naked point of control. Fuck that. Get. Do you like New York? I love New York. Focacino says one could argue that this shit is bullish. It is. It just depends on the time frame. On the higher time frame, let's say for example that you were going to be aiming for 180K. All right, 150. Let's say price discovery an all-time high. If you were going to reach those prices, you wouldn't want to leave imbalances and gaps here because you're just leaving the probability and the door open to come back later. And then coming back to this level after hitting 150 would be bearish. So you're actually betting on something really bearish, but in the time frame that you're trading, it might be bullish enough to get to 140. You know, and like everything kind of serves a purpose no matter how long it's been. So if we leave all these lows and these gaps like this, even if we went to 130, that's when if I have a short from like 120 or whatever, 125, I wouldn't close the whole thing at like 92, which would be the value area low. I would run it for a home run all the way to clean the 70 shit. So maybe we go to 130 before we clean the 65, 68, I don't know. But then that invalidates every single mathematical like permutation that you can think of. All the Elliots, all the harmonics, all of the Fibonacci time extensions would all get invalidated. Yeah, but anyways, let's see what it is. So for me, I know exactly what I'll be doing tonight. I'm going to be watching value area low as I always do, and get above that, and I'll be joining you, Bulls. Lions, are you ready for a little mathematicas? But at least we got to kind of see everything together, huh? Stop losses, how I would chase along. I mean, you know, even that last one was a nice little freebie right there. That was kind of like I forget, what was it, you, Fartinacci, or who was the one that was like, this feels like I'm top longing, you know? And it's okay if you didn't take the long, Fartinacci. I just want you to kind of see everything for yourself. All right? And like moving on in the future, brother, your subconscious might not be similar to mine, but you're a pretty smart guy. So once you see it enough, I know you're gonna, get it. All right? But at least you got to see it with me all day today. You know, what it took for me to be bullish, how I waited all that time, okay, for the value area low to get flipped. It made a higher high. We anticipated a higher high, right? And then a higher low, right? So, not too shabby. And that's basic by the book strategy, by the way, Fartinacci. So, kind of feels weird that I'm saying all this to somebody named Fartinacci, okay? But did you got to follow along the whole thing. Even if it doesn't click and make sense now, just a couple more and it will. Alrighty. Candlestick says, I'm trying to stay on my own feet and I am looking my own plans. I took it in the end. That's awesome. That's awesome. even better if you really like felt like you understood why. Yeah. Did you like when I was singing to you how it's cheap and the invalidation is really clear? And do you understand, Candlestick Fartinaci, that I'm going to put my stop loss right above my entry? Let's see if we can do it together. No, not yet. Once it taps 88228, put your stop loss in profit, okay? Anything else you want to talk about, Candle? Kaitosh says, was cooking dinner for my daughter. What did I miss? I don't know what you don't know. You were here when we were talking about taking the long of value area low, right? So a bunch of us took it. I just went over the stop loss. I went over the stop loss and profit. Yeah, but did you hear the planning for what we wanted to do is not like clean. We don't want it to like do that, but we wanted to not clean everything, do that, and then that would be the bullet retest. So the only thing that you have the problem with is it's during Macaulay Culkin, it's low volume, and CME is paused right now. Berbezi says a nice gap will be nice. That's exactly what you need. Yeah, so since it's happening during Macaulay, the best way to have it prove to you that it's actually bullish is it was so bullish that it didn't even need to wait for CME. Like this. Dude, this is a CME gap. ETH, not an RTH. That's a Macaulay Culkin gap, if you remember. Right? Bat. Yeah, so the best thing now would be to just fucking go and have a bullish gap and have that bitch dip the tip and then rip. So value area low changed a little bit. It's a little bit premature to change it, but I changed it now just because I gotta do a couple things, and by the time I come back, the levels for what I just set will be more relevant than what we had before. Yeah, but we're below settlement. We're still below levels of interest. We were holding the previous level of value area low. Markets have now closed, so the session value is different. So I think it's all right to start using this 87,750. So 87,750 VWAP would be interesting. I love y'all, man. Stay safe. Have a great night. Sato, tell them what happens if they don't use stop loss.
닥쳐, 이 씨발야!